Welcome students. In today's class we will try to understand another type of cybercrime called as software piracy. Okay. Now, before we understand the software piracy, let us try to understand a few terminologies with respect to the programs or the softwares which we call them as a genuine programs or the genuine software. If there is a software and in order to access or use the features of that particular software or a program, if the user has to pay certain amount of money in order to purchase the licensing, we call it as purchasing the licensing from the vendors. So vendors are basically the owners who owns that particular software or the program. Okay, so in order to access those such type of softwares, a particular license is required. If the license is not purchased, if the user doesn't pay the money, then they will not be able to access or use those particular softwares. Now, in the hackers or the cyber criminals may come up with a particular kind of a solution to this one by pirating those particular softwares. By certain illegal means, what they try to do, they try to steal the software, okay, and they copy and distribute it on the web services, like they will upload it onto a particular website, so that any person who gets access to that particular website will be able to download and use it. Okay, so such type of crimes, cyber crimes, we call it as software piracy. So as per the definition, we can say that software piracy is what? It is a theft of software through the illegal copying of genuine programs. Right? Any particular genuine program is there, and if it is illegally copied by stealing the software and publicizing it onto the users or to the public, then we can call it as a software piracy. Another definition could be what? The counterfeiting. The word counterfeiting means it's kind of a bulk redistributing of the copied or the pirated softwares. Okay, counterfeiting, that is faking or the forging, and distribution of the products intended to pass for the original. So instead of using the original copies of the software, the people can use the forged or the faked such type of softwares. Then we can call it as a software piracy. Then what are the different types of software piracy? The first one is kind of we call it as a end user copying. So first I will give you one example here. End user copying. Say one of your friend has a licensed version of the software and he might be using it for his purpose. Then he has a best friend and he wants to share that particular software with him, and at the same time he don't want his best friend to pay for that particular software. Okay, without purchasing another copy, he wants to give the access to that particular software to his friend. Then what he can do, he can say to that particular friend saying that you install this particular software with the same license. Okay, now when he is installing from using the same license, what he would suggest that you don't connect your system to the internet and all. Okay, unless and until you connect to the internet, until and unless you connect your computer to the internet, then the vendor is not going to come to know that it is being used in the other system. Okay, I will give you the software, you install with the same version and don't connect the system to the internet, and you will be able to access the system without any problems. In such way, a copying of the software or the software piracy is done, then we call that type of or that example as a end user copying. Okay, so here it need not be only the particular software, it could be an entire hard disk can be loaned, hard disk can be given to the particular persons, like that. Okay, let us see the other example. Hard disk loaning with illegal means. Hard disk loaning means what? Loading means if there is one particular hard disk and that hard disk has certain softwares installed already. Okay, what you want to do, you want to take out that entire software, the entire hard disk, and give it to the other person so that they can use it on other machines. Okay, the hard disk can be loaded with the illegal means. That can also be another example of software piracy. The third is very popular, what we call it as a counterfeiting. First, I will give you an example of counterfeiting, how it used to happen in earlier days. You might have come across with this particular example, or you might be using certain softwares as a counterfeiting. Here, as I said, the software piracy, it is not only with respect to the softwares or programs. It could be anything which has been generated from the computers. The best example for the counterfeiting is the movies. A decade ago, 1 decade before, whenever there used to be a new movies coming onto the theaters, a pirated copy of the that particular movie used to be done. Okay, and they used to do counterfeiting of that particular recorded video or of that particular movie. How they used to do? The recording used to be copied onto multiple CDs or DVDs. Okay, or most probably it would be a CDs itself, because the size is less and the price is also less. So they used to be vendors who used to sell all these movies and the songs. So they used to sell all these pirated movies, and the counterfeiting here, it means that one particular software or the one particular movie would have been copied, okay, n number of times. Okay, what we call it as a large scale duplication. Large scale duplication means one particular software, one copy, multiple copies of that movie can be created and it is distributed to the n number of peoples by illegal means. So we call it as a counterfeiting. The best example is the movies. Nowadays what has happened, since most of the people are not using the CDs and all, they don't want to go to the particular vendor to purchase the CD. So what the other alternative way? The other alternative way they have come up with that illegal downloads from the internet. The movie would be uploaded onto one particular website. There are a number of websites which stores the pirated movies or the pirated softwares. From those particular websites, the user will try to download the software or any movies or any programs and use it for themselves. So all these type of examples, we can call it as a software piracy, different examples of the software piracy. Let us try to understand what is the problem, what is the big deal in using these pirated softwares. You may think that, okay, if there is a genuine program and in order to use those particular programs or the softwares, I need to pay certain amount of money. If I am getting the same software or the program or a movie without paying any money, then as an user, I will be happy, right? I don't need to pay anything, but I will be using all the features or the softwares. Then what is the problem in that one? Okay, let us try to understand the problems involved in using the pirated software. The first problem is untested software. Okay, so untested software means, let me give you an example here. You might have heard about something called as the beta versions. Okay, beta testing. So beta versions, in the sense, suppose if there is a new software coming into the market, the development team or the developer of that particular software, what they try to do is that before it is being delivered, they will give the beta version, means before the finalization of the software is done, the unfinalized software, they will put it onto the Play Store. If it is an app, they might put it onto the Play Store, or they upload it onto their own websites. Okay, and in this particular beta testing, what happens, they will ask users to install this particular software, and if the user comes to know that there are certain problems or there are any defects or the bugs, you report it to us, we will modify with respect to those defects, and then after running for a few days, they will make it as a final version. Then they will put it onto the public for using. When it comes for the public, when it comes for the final version, that time the software will be turned as a license copy. But when it is at the stage of beta testing, it might not be it might not be the legal version. It might be having certain issues in that one. There could be certain security defects could be there. Okay, now how do the hackers or the cyber criminals will try to access the pirated software? Because how do they do it? Because they will, whenever there is a beta version available, they will try to make a copy of that one, keep it with themselves. Okay, once the final version is released by the vendor, then they will upload these untested softwares or the beta version of the softwares onto the public websites. Then they don't mention that it is a beta version. They will just say that it is a software, okay, which is being published by the so and so vendor. They are giving it for, they will say they are giving it for the free versions. Okay, then the user may see that okay, there is a software is there, and if they want to purchase it from the vendor, they have to pay. But some other websites are there where I can download it for a free version. But ideally, what is there? It is a untested software. It might be having security problems. Okay, it might be stealing. There might be certain loopholes that the username or the password or the private information might be stolen if they use the untested software. That could be the one reason or one problem of using the untested softwares or the pirated softwares. The second important problem is, the issue is, hard disk may have infected viruses. Suppose as an example we discussed earlier, loaning the hard disks. If you give the entire hard disk to some particular person, or if you take the entire hard disk from the vendors which is a pirated, then what could be the reason? What could be the problems over there? There could be certain problems in such a way that the entire hard disk might be having certain viruses, okay, which will infect the hard drives. Okay, if such viruses are there, then if you use or if you install the softwares from those particular hard drives, then the computer which you are using, the entire hard disk may be corrupted. You might not, you may no longer be able to use those particular hard drives. There could be problem in that one. So viruses could be already infected in such hard drives, and if you use those pirated softwares, okay, of the example of hard drive loaning, then you may get the viruses onto your system and they may infect the hard drives. We will study in later sessions different types of viruses are there. During that time we will try to study one virus related to the boot space. We call it as the boot space viruses. During that time we will understand the type of viruses which will corrupt the entire hard drive or booting of the system. The other problem could be the licensing. If you use the pirated software, you will not be having a proper license. Proper license in the sense, if the vendor comes to know that you are using the pirated software, legally they can take any action against you. Okay. Then the other problem is that no warranty protection. So no warranty protection means you will not be able to get a technical support. Even in case of a no proper license, suppose if you are encountering certain problems when you are using those particular softwares and you want to solve those things, if you wish to reach the vendor will not help you because it is an pirated software you are using. You are not paying any money to the vendor in order to use those particular softwares. So there could be problem with respect to the protection, that is warranty protection will never be there, and you will not be having a proper license to use those things. Then the last one is the no legal rights. So this is very much important, the legal rights. You are not authorized to use the software. As and when most of the time what happens, if the system is not connected to the internet, then there is a chance that you will not come to, the vendor will not come to know that such software is being used on certain computers. But if there is an internet connected, the software may in a backend they may send certain information related to the MAC address, IP address, the location where you are using this particular system. So all those data might be given to the vendor, and that part will be done by the software itself. So they will come to know that there are some certain computer where the software is being installed and that is not an licensed version. So they may try to come up with they may try to take a legal action against the users who are going to use the software. I hope the concepts are understood, students, with respect to the software piracy. Let us proceed further. The computer sabotage. Okay. So basically the computer sabotage is something, the harming the computer. Okay, we can say harming the computer. We can, in a simple word, we can say it as a computer sabotage. But as per the by what means harming the computer, that is the question here. If a particular cyber criminal makes use of the internet, okay, in order to harm the functionality of a particular computer, okay, then we call it as a computer sabotage. And how could they be able to succeed in damaging the computer, or the functionality of damaging the functionalities of the computer? It could be by means of inducing certain viruses, certain worms, or certain Trojan horses into the system. We will study in detail about these terms, worms, viruses, and Trojan horses, as we proceed with the upcoming units. Okay, so basically this particular computer sabotage is done, or it is this type of cyber crime is committed in order to gain certain type of advantages, like financial advantages of a particular computer. So how we can explain the economical or the financial advantage? Okay, basically this economical or economical advantage or a financial advantage of a computer means, suppose if there is a computer which is having certain data, like a bank account details of a particular bank, okay, and it might be a database where the entire username and passwords of a certain bank is stored. And if they want to cyber criminals want to get access into those particular computers, then they would be able to take the financial advantages, or they could be able to hack the systems by illegally using the customers information. Or it could be with respect to what, promote illegal activities of a terrorist. Okay, this second point is the mostly used by the terrorist organizations. Okay, what they will try to do is that they will try to damage the certain computers, basically with respect to the government bodies. Okay, you might have heard that recently Chinese hackers could able to hack the computers of Australian government. Okay, Australian government database was completely hacked by the Chinese hackers. What they could do, they could able to retrieve the confidential information of the entire government database, and it could have been used for illegal activities. Okay, so when I say Chinese, means Chinese basically they are influencing the terrorist. Okay, let us not go into that particular discussion. Okay, the next point could be the stealing of the data or the programs for extortion. Okay, it could be that if a computer is there and certain data are there, data could be the personal information or the programs. And if they cyber criminals, if they hack and get the data of that one, then they may ask the user that I have all this data, until and unless you pay certain amount to me. If you pay, I will return it back, or I will delete the data what I have taken, or else I will upload all this confidential information on the public websites, or I will publicize the information. Okay, like that the cyber criminals might be using the data, personal data, or the softwares which have been hampered by the computer sabotage. The next type of cybercrime is email bombs. Okay, the word may look very funny, email bombs. So email bomb, basically what it is, if a cyber criminal sends a large number of emails, okay, and they will try to target a particular person. They will they will come up with one particular person. They want to do a email bombing on that particular person. They will collect the email ID of the victim, and they will create a certain programs, okay, such a way that that program will send n number of emails to that particular victim's email ID. And this n number means it could be with respect to a number of lakhs together within a time frame of 1 hour. Okay, during that, within a 1 hour, they could be able to send lakhs of emails to a victim's email ID. When it happens so, the entire mailbox of that particular victim will get crashed. Okay, so if they want to crash the email server, or if they want to crash a particular person's email account, then email bombing can be done. A large number of emails will be sent out. Sending a large number of emails to crash victim's email account or the mail server, we call it as a email bombing. Okay, as I said, the programs can be written in order to do the email bombing. We can write, the hackers can write certain code, and that code, when it is executed, it will send the multiple emails. It could be from the same computer, or it could be from the n number of computers. They could be able to send the mails to a particular email ID, so that that email ID can be crashed, or the mail server could be crashed. The next concept is Usenet newsgroup. Nowadays, this particular Usenet newsgroup is something kind of a outdated one. Let me give a very brief information about what a Usenet newsgroup is. Usenet newsgroup it was used for sharing and distribution of information on the web. Like how we have now social media in the decade of 1990s. Okay, the early part of that particular 1990s decade, probably 1993, 94, 95. During that time, this particular Usenet news group was very active. It was kind of a social networking, and it was used to share or distribute the information on the web. There used to be a groups, or there could be used to be a teams wherein they used to discuss on certain topics. Okay, they, in the sense, the users who are using the internet, they could able to discuss or share certain type of information among a group of people. Okay, a topic or a subject can be used to discuss. Basically, this Usenet news group was created for the good purpose, but as you know, when there is a good, there could be bad also. The people can use it for the illegal purposes. So what they used to do, they used to do distribution or sale of a pornographic material. Okay, if this particular news group was used for illegally passing of or distribution of the pornographic material, or even the pirated softwares which we discussed just now, the pirated softwares, they used to make the news group Usenet news group as a platform wherein they can give the links, or they can upload those particular pirated software, so that the entire people will come to know that there are certain softwares and use them. But unknowingly, they might not be knowing that those particular softwares are the pirated softwares. Or even they could able to distribute some softwares for hacking purpose. The programs which are required for hacking, they just want to distribute. If few people are there, if they are willing to, or if they are going, they decide to hack, then they would come to know that there are certain softwares or the programs available which will help them to hack, or which will help them to learn hacking. Or even they could able to, they were using it for the publicizing the stolen credit card numbers. Okay, they used to even give it for a sale purpose. So all these illegal type of activities used to happen on the news group. The next concept is password sniffing. Password sniffing is basically a program which captures the username and the password of the user as and when they enter their username and password on a certain applications. This software sniffing program will work on the systems where there is a internet connectivity. Okay, and what the hacker will, or the cyber criminal will try to do is that when they will be observing the persons who will be logging into a particular systems. Okay, at what particular time they will be accessing their accounts. During that time, they will just enable the software sniffing programs on the internet, and whenever a particular person, a customer, if you take an example of a bank customer, if they enter their email ID or the username and a password on the bank portal, and this password sniffing software, if it is installed on that particular system, then it will just make a copy of their username and the password, and those data would be shared with the hacker or the cyber criminal. Okay, we will try to understand this particular concept in detail as we proceed further. Okay, whoever installs the sniffer can use the authorized, can use the username and the password, and they can use it for the illegal purposes. Yeah, the next is the credit card frauds. You might have heard about the credit card frauds. Okay, actually we will study these credit card frauds in the second unit. In the unit 2 we are going to discuss about the credit card frauds and how it was done, how it is done, and what are the steps taken in order to do these things. Okay, during that time we will cover up this particular topic. And the next very important is the identity theft. Identity theft means it's like using one particular person's identity in order to do the illegal activities. Okay, means let us say, let me take an example of Facebook account. Okay, say there could be one particular user, and if that particular user by unknowingly, if the username and the password of the Facebook, his or her Facebook account is being stolen by a hacker or a cyber criminal, what they can do, they may be able to log in to the Facebook account of the victims. Once they log in, then they may try to use that particular session, login session, for making certain illegal activities. Could be that they could be trying to make a funny, they might be uploading certain pornographic videos, or they could be able to put certain kind of a blame on some other particular persons in the Facebook. Okay, they would be using identity of that particular person for any type of illegal activities. Okay, that type of fraud or that type of cyber crime, we call it as an identity theft. It is a fraud involving another person's identity for a illegal purpose. This identity theft involves another type of a cyber crime. We call it as a phishing. The phishing and identity theft both are kind of related offenses. Okay, you have a separate concept for the phishing. During that time, we will try to understand the relation between the identity theft and the. So the last concept is the cybercrime and Indian ITA 2000. In India, as not only in India, before these cyber crimes started evolving, the government of America, what they did was they United Nations in their assembly, they had put forward a kind of a laws wherein if there is an cyber crime happened, then there could be a legal actions can be taken against the cyber criminals if they are caught. Okay, the penalties or imprisonment related to the cyber crimes were described over there. And I think it was done in the year 1997, and then later in the year 2000, Indian government also put forward those particular cyber crime related legal concepts in the Constitution of India, and it happened in the year 2000. And later in 2008 there was an amendment to the ITA. So ITAA means Information Technology Act. Okay, initially it was put on the 2000 in the year 2000, and later it got amended in the year 2008. You have a separate unit for this particular ITA 2000 and ITA 2008. During that time we will study the concepts related to that. All the cyber criminals in India are punishable under two categories. One you were probably aware, that is IPC, we call it as Indian Penal Code, and the second one is ITA 2000 or 2008. I hope students you understood the concepts. If there are any doubts, please get back to me. I will try to clear those questions. Thank you.